The opponent was known to have outdone her by over 400 votes, and she believes strongly that she's just been, this is a re-rig, not rerun, really.
Contended figures. I mean, if the Electoral Commission counted, I think when they counted, the MPP was leading with about 49 votes before the rerun. So I'm going by the figures given by the Electoral Commission, unless anyone wants to say that the Electoral Commission gave us wrong figures. The win in that constituency shows us clearly the confidence the Ghanaians have in the NDC government. In 2024, that confidence was very clear in the election results and in the parliamentary results. This is just an affirmation of that confidence, and we are truly grateful to the people of Ghana. It also shows the lack of trust, the lack of confidence in the NPP government and their abysmal 80 years governance of this country. The people of Ghana have spoken resoundingly, and we are very thankful for that mandate. Now, if in reference to the cases of chaos that were witnessed, especially against the journalists, it's deeply regrettable. It's unfortunate. These completely undermine our democracy. And you have heard from our General Secretary, who has said there is really no need to show the NPP any power.
You say especially the journalists. When those who were actually battered, who were at the point of near death, were officials of your opponents.
I sympathize with all of them, but I used to be a practicing journalist, and so it is not out of place for me to sympathize specifically with the journalists, because when I watch, I see myself in them. I could have been on the grounds. I have covered similar events in the past, and so I sympathize deeply with the journalists and anyone else who was caught in the crossfire. It is important to understand that regardless of the history of violence where our elections are concerned, and we have had violence for a very long time, it undermines it for all of us, not just one party, regardless of who did what their political affiliation is. Violence at any election event is regrettable, and I just want to put that out there. In order to solve the problem, we have to look at it holistically. Ablekuma North and the issues that happened yesterday cannot be looked at in a vacuum. It is not an isolated incidence of violence during our elections. We have had countless incidences. My colleague conveniently skipped the parts where we have been confronted by the Delta Force. We have been confronted, and he said they actually have an edge, in protecting the ballot. I don't know what that means. Does it mean that they are ahead in vigilantism or whatever it is? Maybe you have to clarify that. But we have had terrible cases in this country where even vigilantes have barged into courts to free their so-called colleagues. When Ayawa's West Wuogon happened, there was a whole report, you alluded to that report. The government at the time, the NPP government, decided to choose and pick which parts of that report to implement. Don't forget that there are a lot of people who are in pain and aggrieved, not just from then. 2020, 2016, there have been so many incidences. In fact, President Mahama recently urged the IGP to fast-track the report on the deaths that occurred in 2020 and in 2024. People died. People were shot at.
Oh, what's the point? What's the point?
The point I am making is that yesterday's Ablekuma North elections, the violence experience did not come out of nowhere. We have had a history of violence in our elections, and we should be addressing that holistically. We should ground our argument in the history and in justice and in truth, because we have not had violence from one party. We have had violence from many. In fact, as far as I'm concerned,
the accusing fingers are being pointed at the NDC. And if you follow, like he said, certain commentary after and certain commentary before, it's
I think the party general secretary has spoken. He also said the presidency hasn't commented. Well, the vice president commented. She's part of the presidency. You know, it has been very clear that the violence is regrettable. But I referred you to the number of people who have been aggrieved. Some of them may comment just because they are angry. And when they comment, you will hear their anger. You will hear the reservations that they have. Look, I think that going into future elections, there should be heightened security. Even certain individuals should not be allowed near polling stations.
Maybe that point, but as for heightened security, how else can you have it? Yesterday they were in their dozens.
Yes, they were, but it was unexpected, right? The situation still escalated to a point that is regrettable. So I think that maybe we can even screen certain people or everyone if that is feasible. Just
or if you don't belong to the constituency or you don't belong to the polling station, you are not given access.
Exactly. Just as we have people who are flight risks. In this country, we have people who are election risks. Such persons should not be allowed. In fact, as far as I'm concerned, certain persons should be banned from polling stations, especially polling stations where they have no business. If you are not a candidate and you are not a voter, what are you doing there?
Do you have an idea what is going to happen to those who committed these heinous acts? We can see them. They are on video. It's not difficult to identify them.
It's too early to say what will happen to them. There has to be an investigation into it. And then the recommendations of that investigation, our President, John Dramani Mahama, is a law-abiding man. He will follow to the letter the recommendations of the investigations. I believe that is what should be done. Oh. But while we are discussing that, we should ensure that we are looking at the situation in its entirety, not choosing specific incidences to look at, and then exaggerating those incidences to look like this comes from just one particular party.
All right.
We have had, in fact, we've had candidates shoot guns. We've had some of our comrades, their legs were amputated because of election violence. We've had people die from election violence. The point I'm making is that these persons, their families, their friends, they are watching, they experienced it, and you think when they get a chance, especially when they had no justice, when nobody was brought to book, you think they will not return that kind of anger. We need to ensure that we solve this problem once and for all, so you and I are safe when we go to any...
Will anything be done to the official who was justifying vote buying?
I need to understand the context in which she spoke. But I think we all agree that vote buying...
Let's just play her quickly, and then you speak to that quickly. We go back to